Welcome to World Now. The militaries of the United States and the United Kingdom have launched strikes against multiple Houthi targets in the Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The strikes were launched after the Biden administration and its allies warned that the Iran-backed militant group would bear the brunt of repeated drone and missile attacks on the commercial shipping in the Red Sea. President Joe Biden says he ordered the strikes in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea. There is more in this report.
Fellow Americans, this is a time of
In a statement released by the White House, President Joe Biden says U.S. military forces, together with the United Kingdom, alongside support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, have successfully conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen used by Houthi rebels to endanger freedom of navigation in one of the world's most vital waterways. Mr. Biden added that he will not hesitate to further direct measures to protect the American people and the free flow of international commerce as necessary. A statement from U.S. Air Force's Central Commander says more than 100 precision-guided ammunitions of various types were used. Iran-backed Houthi forces say they are acting in solidarity with Hamas. The Houthis have carried out a growing number of attacks on what they deem to be Israel-linked shipping in the key international trade route since the eruption of the war in Gaza sparked by Hamas's attack on Israel on the 7th of October. The rebels have controlled a major part of Yemen since a civil war erupted in the nation in 2014, and they are part of the Iran-backed resistance against Israel. The US and UK's ministries of defense say the Houthi rebels' ability to attack ships in the Red Sea has been dealt a blow.
It won't be some ammo dump sitting out in the middle of the desert that people will really not even know was hit or not. This has got to be something, or a series of targets that make a difference, that carry a clear, unambiguous message to the Houthis and also to Iran, that the United States and its coalition partners, the UK in particular, are not going to tolerate these attacks on shipping, particularly in one of the most absolutely critical sea lines of communication.
Well, as you heard from the Armed Forces Minister, Keir Starmer as Labour leader and I as the Defence Secretary, alongside the Speaker, were briefed yesterday evening just before the strikes took place. We now need to hear, and the public need to hear in Parliament, the Prime Minister explaining more fully what's behind these strikes, and in particular, the way that the important principle of international trade routes and the freedom of navigation can be maintained. That's of interest not just to the UK and the US that, of course, conducted the strikes last night, supported by 4 other nations.
The White House also confirmed Australia's involvement in the British and US strikes against Iran-backed Houthi rebels for their interference, hindering strategic movements in the Red Sea.
Australia must stand up for the rules-based order. Australia must stand up for freedom of navigation. When you consider who we are, an island trading nation, much of our prosperity is based on sea lines of communication, is based on the freedom of trade on the high seas, and it is absolutely essential that Australia stands firm in the principles of freedom of navigation on the high seas.
Although the U.S. has carried out strikes against Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria since the outbreak of the war in Gaza, this is the first known strike against the Houthi rebels in Yemen.